We have with us now a anonymous teacher from California that is it feels it is crucial to raise the alarm in California, and I think this applies to every school district all around the country. She's a teacher. She is joining us now. We're not going to get into any of the other details because this is how hostile of an environment it is now to speak out if you're a teacher. Welcome to the program, and thank you for your courage.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. So tell me what happened to you just a few weeks ago that made you say, wait, hold it. What's happening now?
Well, to be honest with you, the wait, hold on, what is happening has been over a decade in the making. So, but just specifically a couple weeks ago, I started noticing, I'm watching the news and it's all about race, and they stopped using the term civil rights and they started using the term critical theory. And I went, what is critical theory? Which I think a lot of the country is going, okay, it's probably just kind of race theory. There's been more research done. Well, it didn't sit right with me. So I listened to a couple podcasts about it. I did my own research online, and I found out it's founded by Karl Marx. Red flag. Okay. It's safe.
Literally.
It's safe.
Yeah.
Yes. Facts, data, and the scientific method are a white concept. So, if you use facts and data to disprove an argument against a black or an oppressed person, you are proving you are racist because, again, facts and data are, quote, false whiteness. So they believe
I want to reiterate critical race theory. It holds, and I'm quoting, data, facts, and the scientific method are whiteness and inherently racist. Therefore, if you use data to disprove an oppressed person's narrative, you are proving your ties to racism by using facts. It is.
So this is why we can't have conversations, because as soon as you say, well, I hear you on the police thing, I hear you on the shootings, but let's talk about black on black crime, which exponentially has a higher death rate. That person would say, well, you're false, you're using facts, my feelings are worth more, which is craziness to me. So that was the first huge red flag, okay? So then I dug a little deeper. Capitalism is racist also because it was developed by whites and does not force racial equity. So these are the foundational principles of critical theory. I about fell off my chair, but so I've been feeling really passionate about just getting this out here, but I knew it was kind of creeping into the educational system. I hadn't seen that term used yet, but I've seen little things like that happening. So anyway, a couple weeks ago, the week before school starts, we have to have a training. And I noticed that the training is on race. And I'm thinking, oh man, I'm in California. They better handle this well, right? I open up the training, and right across the top, it says critical race theory. Glenn, I wanted to quit on the spot or go on a crusade or text all my friends that have their kids in public school just going, get out now. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. But of course I want to read through it, give them the benefit of the doubt, because maybe the people who developed this don't know what critical theory is. So here are the main points that they taught us.
Now, this is in the training. This is in the training document for California teachers. Okay.
Not all California teachers, but I can tell you that it is endorsed by the California Department of Education, the California School Board Association, the Association of California School Administrators, Bay Area Schools, the California Conservation Corps, and a bunch of other districts who have hired them to train teachers. Okay.
And you're not in a small school district in California, so it's a large number.
I'm in a small-ish district, small enough to where I'm nervous that I'm going to be identified. So, people know me, so I'd rather stay anonymous. But So in the training, it's called Epic Education. You can go on their website and look everything up. Here are their main points. owning property is whiteness, must be abolished. So no one should own property. Okay? White people will only help a black person if it is in their own self-interest.
Jeez.
That to me, I mean, let's just flip that back. A black person will only help a white person if it is in their own self-interest. If you said that, you'd be called a racist up and down. But if you flip the color of the skin of the person you're talking about, you're a compassionate person. So
Right.
there's
And
kindness
because
and
and,
compassion.
and because of critical race theory,
Yes.
you defending that by saying flip that around proves that you are a racist.
Exactly. That's why we're not getting anywhere. That's why we can't agree to disagree. That's why we can't talk about the real issues of what's going on. That's why we can't talk about, I mean, I am a white female teacher, and I have had reverse racism against me multiple times in my own classroom. I walk on eggshells around my students of color because I want to make sure that they know that I love them, that I care about them, that I want them to succeed, because I've had more experiences than I can count where if a black student doesn't get the grade they want, they're storming my door. I've been cussed out. I've been almost fired. Parents have gone to the superintendent to try to get me out. Even when I have documentation proving why that student got the grade that they got, nope, it's because you're white. It's because you're white. And I'm going, if I said that about you, I'd be thrown in jail. You know what I mean? It's just insane. So, okay, the other points are racism is inherent with all white people from birth. They can't help it, and they are unaware of it.
Wow.
Racism is permanent. So in my mind, if they believe it's permanent, why are we talking about it? Why are we trying to solve it? Children
Well, it's
should be
permanent
raised
in
by-
white people.
Yes. Well, and
Yeah.
I'm a Christian. I believe we all have sin, right? But to say
Yes.
that your sin is that you are racist just because you're white, it takes the individuality out of it. And just, you know, this is a group sin. I don't care if you've been a kind
is.
person to every black person that you've ever met. I'm telling you, I've gone way out of my way to make sure that they feel loved. And not that I'm perfect. I'm sure that I've screwed up many times. But to say, just because you're white, you are racist.
It is exactly what
unbelievable.
caused. It's exactly what caused or allowed slavery to happen. Is
Exactly.
we said blacks are different. They're different than us. They have some sin or some mark or
Right.
whatever, and that's they
Right.
can never achieve. Yeah, that's how you do it.
Because your skin is dark, you are going to be my slave because you're not as intelligent as me. You know what I mean? All of these things, I mean, it's just flipped the other way. It's just amazing. So there's a couple more. Children should be raised by a tribe, not a nuclear family with two parents. So that's where you see parental rights being taken away slowly in school. So that's what I mean by this has been a slow kind of fade away from, I mean, don't talk to your parents about, you know, if you feel like you have homosexual feelings. Don't talk to your parents if you feel like you're a boy and you're really a girl. And teachers will tell you, and to some extent I agree, there is a safety thing with parents at home because you don't know how parents are going to react to that. There might be abuse going on there. But in this training, they actually said, do not talk to your parents about this because they might not be enlightened enough to realize their own racism within them. So let's just keep this between us. Yes. And I've been reading article now about teachers being worried because now we're all at home learning that parents, when they get the curriculum at home, they're going to go, wait, my kid's being taught this, and they're going to be outed.
So I have a tweet thread from Matthew K. He's a teacher. So this fall, virtual class discussions will have many potential spectators, parents, siblings, etc., in the same room. We'll never be quite sure who's overhearing the discussions. What does this do for our equity inclusion work? How much have students depended on the somewhat secure barriers of our physical classrooms to encourage vulnerability? How many of us have installed some version of what happens here stays here? While conversations about race are in my wheelhouse and remain a concern with a no-walls environment, I am most intrigued by the damage of the helicopter snowplow parents who can do honest conversations about gender and sexuality. I mean, he goes on, conservative parents are my chief concern.
Yes.
I mean,
they're threatened, yes. And the thing is, this is America. We should be able to have these hard conversations. I strongly agree with this. I strongly disagree with it. And that's what we've lost. It's no longer let's hear both sides, which is actually in this training, they want to talk about the counter story. And they give the example of, well, we're tearing down the monuments because George Washington was a slave owner. The real story is, he owned slaves. He didn't really deserve to be, in history. And it's like, so, okay, what about the counter narrative about reverse racism? We can't talk about both sides, and their whole point is let's talk about the other side. It's just unbelievable to me.
So, tell me how many other teachers feel this way, like you do, that you've seen the slow boil, but now you realize this thing is boiling over. It's teaching now dangerous things. It's become a cult.
Yep.
And you're in it. Are there teachers? Are there teachers that agree with you, or are you in the minority? What?
Oh, I am definitely in a very small minority. I reached out to a few of my colleagues after this training because it was all on Zoom, and you have to be really careful. I texted them, "Hey, how did you feel about that training that we just did?" And every single one of them called me and said, "Why you ask?" Because they didn't want to put it in writing. They wanted to know why I wanted to know. They wanted to know if I was a safe person to talk to. And I just kind of phrased it like, there were a couple things that jumped out at me, like I would only help a black person if it was in my own self-interest. That rubbed me the wrong way. And owning property is a white idea and no one should own property. Like that didn't sit right with me. And as soon as I said that, a bunch of them opened up going, yeah, this was garbage. But they couldn't put their finger on why. They just knew that there were these little bullet points in here that didn't really sit with me. Because, again, especially on the Zoom call that we had where we had the actual trainer speaking to us, it's all about compassion. It's all about why wouldn't you want to lift up your black students? Why wouldn't you want to support them more? So they're phrasing it if you're just unaware that you've been hurting them for decades. So let's talk about that. Let's root that out. But again, the scary part was they never actually defined what critical theory is, which talks about, like I said in the beginning, the scientific method is false.
Yeah.
Capitalism doesn't force equity. So this is communism, and it says right there it's developed by Karl Marx. But again, to go back to your question, there are people in my district that, I just talked to them on the phone the other night, and they all said, I can't believe you're even going on the Glenn Beck show because I would be terrified. We don't even know who each other are at my district.
I commend you for your courage, and we all have to understand that freedom is not free, and this is our generation's battle. We are going to lose it unless people have the courage to stand up. I encourage any teacher that is experiencing these kinds of things to call in. We will protect your identity, but your voice must be heard, even if it is augmented like it is now. Your voice must be heard. People have got to start talking about it and letting others know they're not alone. Thank you again, and I hope that we have a chance to meet at some point in the